Well folks, welcome back to the workshop to another cheap and cheerful power tool repair video. And this one is a cheap and cheerful one. This here is an FF grip hammer. These you can pick up for wild good money. So this is the FF grip RH7/40 Pro, a rotary demolition hammer. I say cheap and cheerful because they are. They're cheap and they're cheerful. They do the job. They're not going to cost the earth, but I recommend these things because if you're a DIYer, you don't want to spend a lot of money on a tool. They're a great brand simply because they're right up my street as an repairability. You can actually buy the spare parts for these things. Normally, cheap and cheerful tools, they're just, when they break, you dump it and you buy a new one. Not these ones. You can buy all the spare parts for these here, and that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to fix this one up. So a few spare parts in for it. We're going to see if we can fix it in here now. Now, customer says this thing's actually running fine and it's hammering fine. The problem with it is the clutch. She's a rotary hammer, so she's spinning as well for boring, but he says the clutch slips very easily. He wants to know if we can fix up the clutch in this one, either tighten it up or replace it. Don't think you can actually tighten these ones up, so I'm just going to replace it with a few parts from FF grip. I've been waiting on them to come in. They're in here now, so we're going to see if we can fix it up. Now, I haven't opened this one yet, so I'm hoping this is going to fix it, and I've never opened one of these before, so we're going to have to learn as we go here. But this one, I'm hoping as well, does actually work. Yeah. So he says it's running and hammering fine. That's not a problem. It's just a rotary. I don't know how much he's been using it, but he says it slips a little bit too easily. Stick it in the vise here and see how easily it slips. Now, that doesn't appear to be slipping to me. This one, well, for one, is a sign of how good these things are, and two, shows that not everybody is telling the truth. Somebody could be just telling me porkies here. It's in for the clutch. It's not meant to be drilling properly. It's meant to be slipping. That's what we're going to fix up. They say about the quality of these things, simply because this one's actually come on from a hire company. Somebody actually has this here in their shop and actually hires it out to the public. So it shows you how good these things are. If hire companies are using them, that's always a good indication or a good thing to go by. If you want to know what to buy, look at a hire company and see what they're renting, because they have to get their money out of a machine. This is from a hire company. Customers had it out, said it's slipping, so he's left it back. So probably sometimes when they come in like that there, maybe the customer just doesn't want to pay for the hire and just complained about the machine, so they don't have to pay for it. Obviously that doesn't always work, but it's on here for repair for that purpose now, so we are going to fix it. Regardless if it's slipping or not, we're going to do something with this clutch. And maybe clean up this chuck too. Now, how to get into it, that's the question. Like I say, she's built a lot like the Bosch 7, but obviously isn't a copy of the Bosch 7. Bosch aren't like this here, but they are similar sort of size and basically shape, but the actual build will be completely different. So I need to get to the clutch in here, so I'll have to remove the hammer pipe, get off this cover. It's going to come out of this way, the hammer's in the way. And there is bolts at the front of this thing, so I wonder if I could just unbolt this, pull out the whole hammer pipe, and just leave the chuck completely assembled, not disassemble that at all. Save me a wee bit of time. I've ordered parts for this, like I was saying. I've ordered new gear for the clutch, new pins, oh it's tight, new pins that allow it to slip, and new springs just in case they are weak. I also ordered a few other bits, but they're not in yet. Sort of just ordered the whole thing because I don't know what I need, but they're all individual pieces. They are tight. Most brands, when they sell you the clutch for a hammer like this, they just sell you the entire clutch as one assembly. And it could cost anywhere between 100 and 150 euro. There's not many that actually sell you the individual components like this one here. And for not too much money either. So that's the actual breakdown diagram for it. I've ordered all of this here. Well, sorry, not the crank, this here. This plate, the gear, the springs, the pins, and the actual bevel gear up here. Didn't bother with the washers or the wee thrust bearing either, but ordered these here bits. These here have come on, not this and not this. I'm hoping these aren't needed. They must be on back order, they mustn't have had them in stock. But it's taken a few weeks to get these here alone, so I'm going to see if I can fix them up now. But that's all the bits you can actually get for this hammer. All the individual components, even down to the bearings, brushes, oil seals, little steel plates, washers, everything for it, even the wee stops for the chisel. That's why I recommend this brand, FF Grip. Actually can repair them. You don't often get cheap and cheerful machines like this where all the spare parts are available. Just double check. Yeah, 6 pins, 6 springs, and the actual gear. All that stuff there is costing 22 euro for all plus the VAT. So not expensive. I'll leave that in where it is for now. I'll just take off the top cover here. That's not tight actually. I hope there's no oil on this. These are actually been opened before, I imagine. They're not all that tight. Just stand it up just in case. Now we're grand. Plenty of grease in her as well. But heavy, mind you. It's not as liquid. Now, will this come out? Not so bad. Simple enough so far. Aluminium con rod in this tool. Unlike the Bosch, you can actually take it out separately from these gears. So that's wild heavy grease. I don't know if this is just a little bit older or what. That's a bit thick for this here. You'd think that'd be a bit of a struggle for it to run with that. And just like the Bosch, you got this wee gear assembly for your rotary. And then this is your clutch stuck in down here inside all this grease. If you get a magnet here to take it out. There we go. I'm not sure if this is gone or not. We're going to replace these components anyway. So there's the colour of the grease law. Nice yellow colour. That's how much it's actually ran. And I put a bit of actual liquid oil into this as well, just to thin that grease out a wee bit. So I'm sure, well, for one, it's going to be a lot harder for the motor to turn with this. But also, it's not really getting on the gears. It's just sticking to the side here. So I might get some liquid grease in to help it. I'll take a look at this here first. Now you have no clue how this actually comes apart. We've got a keyway down in here anyway. Right, so that's the gear. That's the way the clutch holder and the springs and pins will be all the way around here. And a central shaft. This is a big washer up on top. I'm assuming this here has to press out. Stick her in the press here, and we'll press this centre out. Hopefully it just presses out without everything springing everywhere. Hope this is right anyway. Now I've got the box underneath just to catch all the bits, just in case she goes sprawling. And dealing with springs and pins, you don't know what things are going to do. That's if this is even pressed on. No, she's moving. There we go. That's okay. Now, let's see what's inside. No, we're not too bad. Let's compare that to the new one. It might be just this gear. Let's round it over. So these pins, or these springs, are pushing these rollers sideways into here. So these are sitting on little slopes. So whenever this is running and being torqued round, the springs are running up the slope and compressing the spring. So under enough load, this will just turn anyway, but whenever it jams up, these will be compressed enough that it'll actually slip around. And to be honest, it doesn't look all that worn compared to the new one. So it'll be running up this way. Well, maybe they are a little bit. Right, we'll swap these anyway. Like I said, I don't actually know what is gone here. We're just going to replace them all. And I was thinking these could all have to be delicately put in, but this is all a solid assembly. They're pushing right back against here. Taking them apart shouldn't be all that hard, I think. Yeah. There we go. So this is the only thing I need. And this is what we're getting rid of. Now, that's something you want to be careful of. These are symmetrical on both sides, I think. Well, there's a wee bit of a difference. This edge is a bit thicker than that edge, so maybe it won't go together right if you don't have it round the right way. But you do need to be careful. These slopes, if you flip it round, go the wrong way. One way to tighten up the clutch is to put it on backwards. So then she's going to be running into this here to lock it instead of actually sliding over the slope. But I don't think it'll work. But you need to take note of which way these are actually facing. So that was this way, I think. Yeah, because the other side's sharper. So there is a wee bit of difference in it. This one does look a little bit more worn, but not much. I don't think there was anything wrong with this to begin with. Maybe it was just the size and the amount of work the boy using it was giving it. But we'll change it now anyway for €22. There's no harm in just changing it. Unless these were starting to wear too, or the springs were weakening. But there doesn't seem to be much wrong with them. So it was that way, I think. That leaves it level. And see, that would be wrong. So the inside diameter is different as well. So you can't actually build it wrong actually. That can only go on that way. See, it doesn't fit on that way. that way there. Hear the wind outside. It's howling, so it is. It sort of came out of nowhere. Get rid of all them. Don't mix these up. And I'll fit these new springs, new pins or rollers. I don't see much difference. Springs might actually be a little bit smaller though. They are a wee bit compressed, so maybe it is the springs. I don't know if there's a trick to this or not. We're just going to have to try our best here and see if we can get these back in again. Just force it if we need to. But hopefully they will just push in. Yeah. Tight enough fit to hold themselves in, but they're not so tight it's difficult to get in. It's a strong clutch, you know. Take a bit of force to actually overpower that. This is not the first one of these hammers we've had back in, because we actually sell, the shop I work for is actually selling this brand as well. Mainly the hammers and drills, and there's quite a few higher shops around Donegal that's actually bought a few of them. Now they only come in 240 volt, you don't get 110s, so they're no good for site work. They're mainly for DIY or just home tradesmen. It's not on a site. There's a few hire shops that spot them just for people at home doing work and saving the big expensive ones for the tradesmen. And they seem to be doing the work, obviously apart from this one. So make sure this wee hole in the right place, because there's a little keyway in here. Now that can just be pressed on. What'll be wrong with that? There's more still in here actually. Yeah. So we've got that washer on there. And there's a thrust bearing running that. And then there's two washers on top of it. I wonder if that's a mistake. It's a bit odd there being two washers. And then we've got needle bearings down in here, just like the Bosch. A bit of grease on there first. Might as well put on the two washers. Check the diagram here just to see if that is right. I see what I mean. Two washers, not three. I wonder which is right. Number 56. It's two washers. And then this one over here is 59, and that's a different number, it's a different type of washer. So I'd say there's too many on this. These can be a wee bit difficult to understand which way these go together. They don't always show it in order. It's showing you this all just going straight down, but if you followed that instruction you'll be having this washer and thrust bearing inside your clutch, which wouldn't be right. So you're building this clutch first, putting this gear on top. This is the one we have underneath when we push the shaft on first, and then that's the top, and that's the shaft down through. So then these must be on afterwards. So that one must be, this one's on top of the steel bush, and that's the thrust bearing washer in between. As well, you can actually buy the needle bearings and the steel bush inside this aluminium housing separately. Even in the Bosch, if you have to replace that, you have to replace the whole aluminium housing. This boy in here now, and steel ring. Mind you, even if you can buy it separately, you'd have a hard time getting that out of the aluminium housing. But you can buy it. Now I'm going to chance taking one of these out. Actually, I don't know what's right here now. What does that look like? I suppose it's not making that big a deal, is it? There's nothing for it to actually interfere on. Well, it was running right to begin with, so we'll just leave it the way it was and just put the two on. Let me know in the comment section if anybody's familiar with these machines or if anybody's worked in one before. Is that meant to be two washers or just the one on the bottom? As in, is there meant to be three altogether? Washer, thrust bearing, and then two washers? Or is it just meant to be two washers, washer, thrust bearing, and washer again? It came out like this, so we'll put it back in like this. So obviously it was working fine beforehand, and it's up nearly flush with the top of the armature gear anyway, so maybe that is right. Just taking that away from the side just to stop it leaking or squeezing out. Before we reassemble, I'm also just going to tidy up this tool holder. Just going to wash this in the parts washer. I'm not doing a full strip job on it, and just polishing it up. Spit shine basically. We just put a bit of grease in that too. Top it up while we have it here. Now what grease or oil do we want to put into this? That's the other question. Is it safe to use an oil, or would a lighter grease be better? A lot messier working on a machine like this when you don't have it cleaned out. But cleaning it out requires a lot more work and a lot more labour. Now, how easy is this going to go back in again? That's the other question. There we go. We wiggle and a jiggle normally gets it. It's actually not too bad. Now these pieces as well, may as well just keep, because they're not completely gone. May as well keep them just in case anybody else comes in with worse damage. I'm not in a hurry. Maybe they would do. I think, I would imagine we get away with just replacing the springs in these to actually tighten them up. I don't think this gear's actually worn out on the inside. These are very tight to come off, so I'm going to put them on good and tight as well. And there's no wee felt sleeve in this. So what do I put on? Oil or light grease. If I put on oil, the worst thing it's going to do is leak out a little bit. But there's nowhere for it to really leak out of. Grease, to thicken this down enough, might require a wee bit more, and I don't want to be putting on too much because there's quite a bit on this. So I think I'll go with oil. At the end of the day, I don't need much. A wee bit of healthy oil should do the job. Plus this is really good to keep the gears and keep the hammer running right. See, that'll mix with the grease, no problem. And thin it. Yeah, it's actually very thick. Lighter grease wasn't going to do much there. Yeah, that'll do the job. Just enough to thin it down. Make sure you're getting that selector lever just right. Keep it up straight if you're putting oil in as well, so it doesn't just drop out again or leak. And also just put a wee bit of Loctite on these screws. Just make sure you don't cross thread them. Put them into the drill, just get them started first. If you feel resistance, you're cutting a new thread, you're cross threading it. Back it out, go in reverse. You hear the click, and you know you're back into the original thread. Now, that should be it. One FF grip hammer, the RH740 stroke, the RH7/40 Pro Rotary hammer drill. New parts for a clutch fitted, so she should be able to bore now without slipping. Obviously you want some clutch in there just in case you're boring a hole up on a ladder. You don't want the thing jamming up and throwing you a mile. Clutch is there to slip just in case it binds up on you, so it doesn't just throw you or break your arm. But you don't want it so weak that it just slips on you very easily. You want it strong enough to hold. And sadly, clutch can be a wee bit hit or miss, because it's sometimes making them a little bit weaker, because you don't know who's going to be using the machine. Just sometimes big burly men, big heavy handed tradesmen, are just used to it and sort of want to push the machine a wee bit more. But if the clutch is already weak to begin with, what you'd imagine it would be on a DIY machine like this, if it's a wee bit weaker so it doesn't throw somebody, they'll push it till it just slips. And once they start slipping, they start wearing a lot faster. So when they do slip and you keep on going, you'll eventually have to either replace or fix the clutch. But that should be this one up and running. If it ever happens with these here FF grips, you can cheaply and easily fix it up. That were a Bosch, you'd be into about 100 or 150 euro for that clutch. But this one, 22 euro buys you the parts. And just test the hammer here now. Make sure she's hitting alright. That'll do the job. We'll just test that in the block, because I did put on fresh grease and had the pistons out. Yeah, that's fine. If it's able to lift itself up from the force of the hammer, you know it's good to go. Look at the big power indicator light on it, and a massive actual brush light too. Right, that's it. One FF grip hammer up and running again with the clutch repaired. Not a difficult job, and one you could easily do at home. Well, that's if you had a bearing press or some way to actually separate the clutch, to actually take it apart. It's actually pressed in, so it's a wee bit more difficult, but the rest of it is fairly straightforward to actually dismantle. Anyway folks, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this quick wee FF grip repair video. As always, if you're liking the videos, make sure to drop us a wee like down the bottom. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, and if you want to help out the channel, don't forget to hit that hype button or become a member. But anyway folks, till next time, hope this was helpful to somebody out there. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll chat to you again the next time. Cheers!